these onions now have softened, they're starting to colour. Now we don't want them burnt, we just want a little colour on them so that you can get the sugars, because the colouring is the sugars releasing from the onion. So the longer you cook these onions and the slower you cook them, the sweeter they become. So you've got to get that balance of how much sweetness you want in the dish, or how much raw onion flavour. Now in certainly Asian and Indian curries, you'll add raw onion just towards the end of the dish and you'll get this lovely crunch when you eat it, but it won't have the sharp taste of the onion because it's already started to cook. Now onions and garlic, this garlic will burn very quickly if we're not careful.
And how do you answer the question that a lot of people have, that you can't get enough vegetables when you're on a low carb diet? You can't get enough fruits and vegetables.
You need to go and, for the science, talk to Dr. Ellis, but you don't need it. As simple as that. You do not need fruits and vegetables. Man can quite easily sustain life on a pure meat diet, provided you've got the meat and fat ratio there. But yeah, vegetables are tasty. I mean, look, I'm human, I like vegetables, I like carbs actually. So for me, I add vegetables a lot of the time. I just don't have too much of them. I mean, I think Dr. Ellis, if he says anything green, he starts to go a bit crazy and faint. But he doesn't like my green pea recipe, I've been told. So as these are colouring now, they're starting to turn and they're starting to go. If we don't turn the heat down a bit, they'll burn. So about a teaspoon of garlic. And actually, we're not going to harm the chili oil if we add some garlic to it. So I'm going to take a teaspoon of this chili oil and some peanuts, because I've tried this one before. Maybe, yeah, it's 2 halves there. That's going to spice it up a bit. And you can add as much of this as you like. If you like chilies, if you like spice, go ahead, add more, add as much as you want. Now you can see that we've got a colour on it.
The charger for this.
Oh. Now you can see we've got a colour on it here. And time for my perfect measurements of paprika. As you know, the little capful measurement. So with that, there you go, about that much. Got a cap, a lot easier than getting a spoon and measure it. Turmeric we need slightly less. This is more to colour. The flavour is quite strong. So about that much. Now we're going to cook these spices just for a minute.
And how often do you count your carbs in a day or in a week? Do you sort of do it
every day? But you know what?
Do you do a review at the end of the day, or do you?
I've done this so long. I know what I'm eating.
Right.
For me, I'm not as active as I should be or used to be because of my hip, my damaged left hip. So I've really got to the stage now where my weight control is down to where I'm comfortable. I'm not going for a super lean look. Those days are gone for me. And really, it's up to the individual. You can take this as far as you want. For health, I keep my carbs under 100 maximum. Just quickly, while we're talking, we'll just add the pork back in now and start mixing that around and mixing it up. Now, there's only one last ingredient to go in this, which I talked to you about, and that's eggplant. See, we talked about vegetables. You reminded me. I've got the eggplant over there because I would eat this either way. You could put green beans. Are good with this. Eggplant's good. I've got some eggplant over here, which, no, that's the chicken. There you go. There's the eggplant. Which all I've done is I've salted. And I've salted to try and remove the moisture. Now, the thing with eggplant is if you're frying it, which we'll do in some other dishes, and if you've been to those Asian restaurants where the eggplant is so oily, when you just get this film of oil on you, for us, even low carb, high fat lovers, that can be a bit too much. So if you salt it first and dry fry it, you'll get rid of all the moisture, then you can add some oil, and you'll cut the oil content down. Now that's not a contradiction because we like the oil, it's just that some of these restaurants it's swimming in oil. So all that remains to do here, what can be done here I should say, is some chicken stock.
So that chicken stock is the same as basically putting some bouillon cubes in there?
No, as we said before, you don't want to do that. Chicken stock, I mean, if you're going to, really, I mean, all my chef friends would laugh because they're like purists. They'll have stocks chicken stock boiling for about a week, you know, and they'll really get a beautiful flavour. But do we have the time, is my question. We don't. So it's a lot easier to buy stuff like this. Would it make a huge difference to this if we made a proper Asian stock? Yeah, of course it would. But and we'll do that in one episode. We'll actually go through a whole an Asian stock, which is very different from the Western stocks, because there's all different. There's chicken, there's pork in there, beef bones, and it gives a totally different flavour. Now, what we want to do here is just bring this to the boil, simmer it gently, and we'll just cook it for about 30 minutes. And then we'll taste and see how tender the pork is. I mean, it's going to be cooked, it's cooked now, but we just want to get it to the stage where it's soft, not sort of chewy to the texture. Then we'll add the eggplant, which will cook 10-15 minutes, and then you've got yourself a lovely dish, which for the carb purists can be eaten just as it is. For the rice people, there's your hot rice over there. So, yeah, back to the carb counts. I mean, I know what I'm eating. So my full English breakfast of 3 slices of bacon, 2 eggs, and a slice of bread fried in the baking fat gives me around 15 grams of carbs. It keeps me going till well into the afternoon. This weekend we had a hamburger frenzy, you know, the entire family. Now I know one burger bun is around 35 grams of carbs. So yeah, you could have a hamburger on this diet, quite easily. And I did. Now, factor in a little bit for the ketchup, for the mayonnaise, for the mustard, you're still going to be, let's say, 50 grams. Now, if that's the only carb meal I'm having that day, plus it was extremely hot yesterday, so maybe a couple of beers, another 16 grams, so all of a sudden I'm nearing 70 grams of sugar. I'm where I am for my normal daily intake, which is about where I want to be. But I've still got the leeway to go to 100 if I have to. But I don't want to. Now, if I wanted to lose weight, I'd just cut my calories and I'd cut my carbs even more. Because that's the quickest way for me, because as we talked about before, the fat in the diet sustains the appetite far better than the carbs. Now, it's no coincidence when you eat the burger with a bun, you know, you're now going to get hungry again. So this is coming up to the boil. We'll just turn that down. And we'll let it simmer there, actually. And what you're going to do now is, again, I haven't added any salt or anything. I'll do that at the end. I just want to see how the dish comes out. People, again, the problem with salting things too early is that well, there are ways to get the salt out, but let's not go into that. Let's try not to put too much in at the first stage. But if you do, you can just you'll kill the flavour. You'll kill hours of work. So let's revisit that in about 30 minutes. And you can see here we've got just the right amount of juice. So if we're serving that with hot rice, we've got some liquid in there, and that keeps it nice and moist. So that's cooked. So that's the pork, minced pork with eggplant.